The priest was unaware that a camera was recording him and proceeded with his actions. In a close-knit village nestled in the southern countryside, the arrival of the charming American priest, Father George, initially caused quite a commotion. Known for their deep religious convictions and steadfast loyalty to their local parish, the villagers were hesitant to accept the 35-year-old priest as a replacement for their former spiritual guide, who had faithfully served them for many years. Despite their initial skepticism, Father George's engaging preaching style, dedication to charitable deeds, and impressive educational background, including studies in Rome, gradually endeared him to the congregation. The initial period of Father George's leadership was marked by apprehension and uncertainty. The villagers were accustomed to the previous priest's traditional methods of worship and spiritual guidance. They doubted whether the young, vibrant American, coming from a different cultural context, could truly comprehend their needs and connect with their way of life. As Father George embraced his new responsibilities, he prioritized forming personal connections with the villagers. He made a point of visiting the ill, consoling those in mourning, and providing counsel to anyone in need. He also motivated his congregation to engage in charitable activities, organizing food drives for the needy and clothing donations for the homeless. Beyond his benevolent actions, Father George quickly earned acclaim for his engaging and insightful sermons. He had a remarkable talent for making scriptural teachings relevant to the everyday lives of his parishioners, encouraging them to embody kindness, forgiveness, and compassion in their interactions. His sermons, rich with personal stories and a hint of humor, captivated the congregation, making them eager to deepen their understanding of their faith. News of the new priest's innovative approach to spirituality spread, attracting people from nearby towns to his services. The previously dwindling congregation experienced a revival, with church pews that had long been empty now filling up once again. Father George's presence revitalized the parish, reigniting the community's dedication to their faith. As the months passed, Father George continued to deepen his connection with the community. He became a familiar presence at local gatherings, cheering at youth soccer games and joining community potlucks. He even took the time to learn about the region's history and cultural customs, weaving them into his sermons and celebrations. It was clear that Father George genuinely cared for his parishioners and was committed to serving them in the best possible way. Despite their initial reservations, even the community's staunchest skeptics eventually grew to appreciate and respect Father George. They recognized that his passion for his vocation, unwavering faith, and deep commitment to the community's well-being made him an outstanding spiritual leader. Through his perseverance and dedication, Father George succeeded in uniting the community with a shared sense of purpose and spiritual growth. His humble, approachable nature, combined with his steadfast faith and adherence to the teachings of the Church, inspired the townspeople to live with renewed purpose and enthusiasm. In time, the once hesitant community came to fully embrace Father George as their spiritual guide and confidant. His energy, passion, and ability to connect with people from all backgrounds transformed the small parish into a vibrant, close-knit community of devoted believers. Among the villagers, Laura, a compassionate widow, stood out as one of Father George's most loyal supporters. Known for her steadfast faith and altruism, she devoted much of her time to church activities, organizing charitable events, and aiding the parish's missions. Her commitment and generosity made her a cherished member of the community. For many years, Laura had been a cornerstone of the town, and her faith only deepened following her husband's death. Amidst personal tragedy, she found comfort and purpose in her dedication to the Church and her fellow parishioners. Father George's arrival further ignited her passion for service, as she was inspired by his vibrant energy and enthusiasm for helping others. As an integral part of the congregation, Laura was always ready to assist. She was frequently seen at the church, cleaning and decorating the altar, arranging flowers, and preparing for upcoming events. Her commitment to the church's mission was evident in the countless hours she spent organizing fundraisers, coordinating volunteers, and providing support to those in need. Laura's altruism extended well beyond the church's confines. She was known for visiting the sick and elderly in the community, bringing them meals, offering companionship, and sharing comforting and encouraging words. Her acts of kindness were not limited to her fellow parishioners. She often reached out to assist others, irrespective of their background or beliefs. The community admired Laura not only for her steadfast faith, but also for her genuine kindness and humility. She embodied the values Father George preached, and her actions inspired others to follow her example. Many in the community were motivated to become more active in the church and engage in acts of service due to Laura's influence. One fateful morning, after attending the 7 a.m. Mass, Laura decided to stay behind and pray. As she knelt in silent devotion, she was inspired to live stream the church's beautifully renovated altar on social media, wanting to share the sight with her friends and fellow parishioners. With the first light of dawn filtering through the stained glass windows, the church took on an ethereal glow, and Laura felt compelled to share this moment of serenity with others. As Laura continued to pray and livestream, her heart suddenly began to race. A sharp pain pierced her chest, and her breaths became short and labored. Realizing something was terribly wrong, she tried to call out for help, but her voice barely rose above a whisper. The pain intensified, and Laura knew she was having a heart attack. Clutching her chest, she fell to the ground, her phone slipping from her grasp, but continuing to record the scene. Hearing the disturbance, Father George hurried to her side to offer assistance. As he entered the sanctuary, his heart sank at the sight of Laura lying motionless on the floor. Quickly assessing the situation, he recognized the severity of her condition and began performing cardiopulmonary resuscitation, CPR, in a desperate attempt to save her life. With each chest compression and rescue breath, Father George prayed fervently for divine intervention to guide his efforts. While Father George was tending to Laura, the sacristan and a group of parish women entered the church, having finished their work in the gardens. Seeing Father George kneeling beside Laura, they immediately jumped to the worst conclusion, that the priest had harmed her. In a state of panic and confusion, the sacristan rang the church bells, alerting the town to what they believed was an emergency. The ringing of the bells echoed throughout the town, capturing the attention of the residents. Concerned for their fellow parishioner and curious about the disturbance, they hurried to the church, where they encountered the distraught women and the sacristan, who shared their erroneous interpretations of the situation. Word spread quickly, and it wasn't long before the local authorities were informed and headed to the church to investigate. Soon, a crowd of townspeople and local authorities gathered at the church, demanding explanations. Father George, visibly shaken, tried to clarify that he had been attempting to save Laura's life, but the crowd was not inclined to listen. The atmosphere was heavy with tension and suspicion, and it seemed that the beloved priest's reputation was at risk of being irreparably damaged. A wave of hysteria swept through the crowd, with fear and anger driving baseless accusations against Father George. However, unknown to the crowd, Laura's dropped phone had recorded the entire incident. As the live stream continued, it captured Father George's efforts to revive Laura and his frantic search for the holy oil to administer the last rites. The ongoing broadcast on social media was being viewed by many, including several townsfolk who hadn't made it to the church. The evidence was there, but in their frenzy, the crowd had overlooked the truth. As tensions escalated, a young parishioner who had been watching the live stream from home arrived at the church, holding up his phone to show the crowd the video. Recognizing the potential significance of the footage, the authorities took the phone and reviewed the recording. As they watched, they came to understand the reality. Father George had done everything possible to save Laura, not harm her. The video depicted Father George's heroic efforts, administering CPR and calling for assistance. It was clear he had acted decisively to try to save her life, not to cause any harm. A hush fell over the crowd as the truth sank in. They had rushed to judgment, unfairly accusing Father George without evidence of any wrongdoing. With the truth now revealed, the townspeople were overwhelmed with guilt and regret. Their fear and suspicion had clouded their judgment, unfairly tarnishing the reputation of an innocent man. Ashamed of their actions, they approached Father George one by one, offering sincere apologies and seeking his forgiveness. Despite the ordeal he had endured, the priest graciously accepted their apologies and forgave them. In the aftermath, the community embarked on a journey of reconciliation and support for Father George. They rallied around him, extending assistance and solidarity in every possible manner. Meanwhile, their thoughts and prayers continued to be with Laura, who remained hospitalized, battling for her life. The incident had left a profound mark on the town, serving as a poignant reminder of the perils of premature judgments and the imperative of seeking truth before passing verdicts. The events surrounding Laura's heart attack and the unjust accusations against Father George triggered a period of deep reflection and evolution within the community. They were compelled to confront humanity's darker inclinations and reckon with the repercussions of their actions. Through this process, they discovered the transformative power of forgiveness and the significance of mutual trust. Over time, the community grew closer, recognizing the vital importance of unity and solidarity in times of adversity. They internalized the lessons learned from this ordeal, actively applying them to their daily lives by fostering empathy, support, and understanding among themselves. This newfound sense of unity transcended the church walls, permeating every facet of life in the town. Father George continued his dedicated service within the parish, steadfast in his commitment to the spiritual welfare of his congregation. He utilized the events surrounding Laura's heart attack as a pivotal lesson, emphasizing to his parishioners the significance of avoiding hasty judgments and the transformative influence of forgiveness. Meanwhile, Laura eventually recovered fully and returned home to the warm embrace of her community. She expressed gratitude for the support and prayers she had received during her hospitalization, feeling a renewed sense of purpose in her devotion to the church. Laura's personal journey and the community's collective response stood as a testament to the resilience of faith and the robustness of their communal unity. Ultimately, the trial that had threatened to divide the community ended up uniting them even more tightly. The townsfolk emerged from the ordeal with a deeper understanding of the value of trust, compassion, and empathy in their relationships with one another. They were more dedicated than ever to standing by their fellow parishioners and collaborating to forge a brighter future for their town. Over the passing years, the saga of Laura's heart attack and its aftermath became ingrained in the town's collective memory, a poignant reminder of the hazards of presumption and the imperative of seeking truth. Guided by grace, forgiveness, and the wisdom gleaned from their trials, the townspeople continued to cultivate a resilient, affectionate community that served as a testament to the power of unity and faith in action.